Our next speaker has something very interesting. Imagine YouTube on the blockchain. That's how he pitched it to me. So he's going to be talking about its decentralized video, right? All right. And our next guest is Valerian Bennett. And as usual, you will be able to submit any questions to him online, again at pollev.com/MAK. I'm going to read a little bit about Valerian in just a second, but first I do have one brief commercial. Have you been loving the show so far? You have? Very good. All right. So one thing that Rich wanted me to share with you is they have another event. They're expecting 5,000 people at that in September. And if you want to learn a little bit more and get in for half price right now, the link to go to, write this down or type it in, is bitcoinsuperconference.com/early. bitcoinsuperconference.com/early. And they will, you can actually register right now for the September event. There will be more networking, more vendors, more speakers, of course. So if you've been loving this, there's a lot more to come. So next up, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Valerian here. So he's a founder and CEO of Popchest. That's correct, right? Or PAP?
Absolutely.
Popchest, yes. Award-winning television producer, editor, and documentary filmmaker with extensive media distribution experience, earned a degree in film from the University of Southern California, and has worked on hit television shows seen by millions on ABC, MTV, and E! And as a Silicon Valley native, Valerian has always maintained a deep relationship with advanced technology and possesses the uniquely balanced perspectives needed to fuse blockchain with the global media distribution. And we lost a word there.
Being a nerd plus being an artist, basically, is what it boils down to.
Nicely done. You ready to rock and roll?
Absolutely.
Take it away, my friend.
Awesome.
All right, let's give him a hand.
Much.
Valerian.
Cool. All right, this is the towards the end of a very long day, and I realize I am standing between you and the bar, so I'm going to try to move this along and really try to mix things up just a little bit. Maybe kind of understand where it is that you guys are coming from, and I can kind of tweak and tailor to hopefully have this make much more sense to you coming from where you are. So Bitcoin or Ethereum holders, okay. Who actually has Ethereum tokens, ERC20 tokens? Who owns some kind of tokens? Okay, fair amount of people. Who actually uses tokens for something other than speculation? Okay, like 2 people. Okay, this is a good start because I really think that this should be the year that we not only start inventing these things and what could be with tokens and blockchain economies, but really actually putting them to use. And that's what we intend to do with Popchest. As a gentleman mentioned, Popchest is a decentralized video distribution platform. The easiest way to think of it is YouTube on the blockchain. And if you think of all the institutions that need to be decentralized, media is definitely one of them. It's a really big industry. It's a really old industry that's very inefficient. And if we can take all of the value that's locked up into the things that we see, which is literally hundreds of billions of dollars, and rather than have that value be locked up in centralized companies, if we could share that value with the token holders of the network based on the work that they're contributing to the network, then we think that we can create an entirely new way of doing things. So a little bit about Popchest. We're based out in Los Angeles, which is the perfect place for a media distribution company. We went through the Boost VC Accelerator up in Northern California. Adam Draper, who runs that, I believe Tim Draper was here yesterday, so it's same building, same family. First investors in Coinbase, Polychain Capital, Digital Finance Group, they're big investors in the Brave browser and yours.org. So big believers in this idea of micropayments changing media. So how do we do it? Okay, we're literally going after some of the biggest companies on the planet. Facebook, YouTube, if you look at the quote-unquote old media companies, Disney, Fox, all the television networks, cable companies, looking at what they're doing and saying, okay, we could do better. So how do we physically do that? And the way that we're thinking about doing it is with 2 fundamental decentralization technologies. One, Ethereum, which you're probably more familiar with, and 2, anybody ever did a peer-to-peer, you don't have to raise your hands on that one, but BitTorrent, which is basically of peer-to-peer sharing technology. And Popchest is effectively a mashup of those two things. So it's one thing to be able to create a peer-to-peer video sharing network. There's a bunch of them right now, but one of the big problems is that generally you have to either download an extra piece of software, you have to download extensions, and for the most part, they're kind of sketchy. So you're also taking on so much risk when you start downloading content. So we looked at it as, okay, if we truly want to make this a mainstream application, and that is our goal, this has to work everywhere. No plugins, no browser extensions, no other pieces of software to download. So we want it to work everywhere, from your mobile phone all the way to your smart TV. And this is my smart TV. That's actually the TV in my house that has an Ethereum wallet inside the television, and I'm watching this video not by having a subscription or watching an ad. It's literally sending a POP token, a ERC20 token micropayment. This is actually through my Fire TV, and you can see that my wife really loves Grey's Anatomy. She literally has every episode of Grey's Anatomy there in our living room. And the thing is, this is working right now. So when I talked about this idea of actually having tokens to use them for something, we have this working on Ethereum testnet right now. And the big announcement for us today is this is the first time we're publicly saying when we're going to launch the network live in production, and that's going to be coming up in June, which is not very far away. So after this, I have to get back to work. The launch in June, token sale in May. So why is this important? I mean, decentralized video, if you're into the video, it sounds cool, but even if you're not, why is this important? Because the internet effectively is becoming video. So not sometime in the future, next year, 80% of all internet traffic will be video. So you don't solve this big problem of Web 3.0, of re-decentralizing the internet, unless you actually solve the problem of decentralizing video. And there's some big projects. In particular, I put my money on Pied Piper there. They really got something going there. But it is a struggle, right? You can see this from in the way that the media is playing out right now. Regardless of what your political leanings are, you can probably say it's not a good idea when we have fewer and fewer voices dictating the things that people around the world see. And the crazy thing, and this is coming from my old media background, there's basically like 6 companies that control most of what it is that we see, and that 6 is becoming 5. Disney is merging with Fox. I don't know if anyone's heard about that, but it's not like we needed less competition in the space, and that's exactly what we're getting. The good thing is that we've got a lot of things that are positive happening for us. We're all entering this world of mass customization, right? No one wants to pay for things that they don't use all the time. I want a bicycle when I want. I've seen all of the little yellow and green bikes hanging around Dallas. You get a bike just when you want it. Why even own it? Same with cars and housing. So we can use that. We can use that macro trend to be in our favor, right? But to really capitalize on that, we're going to need some other things as well. We're going to need new types of content. We're going to need functionally a new model, right? Advertising and subscriptions. Everyone has their problems with them. Who here likes ads? No one likes ads, yet here we are, literally 100 years after the first ad, pre-roll ad, pretty much doing the same thing, right? When you watch a video on the internet, you have to watch a video before you watch that video. And why are you doing that? You're doing that because that's why they took that model from television. Literally the same 30 seconds, same 15 seconds, took it from television. Why do they do that? They took that model from radio. Why did they do that? Because some guy in 1922 in upstate New York at a radio station was like, well, we need to try to pay for this stuff, so let's do a pre-roll ad. And it's stuck ever since. Like, that's where we're at. So needless to say, we think that we can do something much, much better. So let's translate this into something actionable, right? So we built Popchest.com right now. It's kind of a test bed for a lot of the different ideas and thoughts and technologies to put into place and really use that as our reference implementation in the same way that the early Bitcoin network, they had one Bitcoin wallet to try to figure out how this thing works and to let other people know, hey, this is how it could work. But ultimately, there were hundreds, if not more, different types of wallet, different types of coins. But you needed to kind of start out with something. And that's what popchest.com is. And this is a user of popchest.com. This is Rosie McMichael. She's a cosmetologist. She's a makeup artist. And she has about 2.5, probably now closer to 3 million subscribers. I used to be an editor for The Real World on MTV. And on a good week, that would be like the number that we'd get, 2.5 million, something around that in terms of viewers. Now, this woman is getting the exact same number of viewers. We got budgeted millions of dollars per episode. She is literally getting pennies for what she's doing, relatively speaking. But that value, it's not like it's disappearing. Google's pretty profitable, right? Facebook is pretty profitable. The value is being extracted and sucked up into centralized companies. So what if we could switch the model and actually give this person an opportunity to say to her 3 million people, hey, give me a penny to watch this. You don't have to watch ads, and know that everything that you're giving me, I can use it to actually make better things for you, and then you get better things, and then I'm able to make better things, and the virtuous cycle goes from there. So what would usually make $200 for her, she used our platform with direct micropayments from her fans and was able to make $2,000 from her video, a 4.5-minute makeup tutorial. That's crazy. That should not happen. Yet this is the kind of empowerment that we're offering. So the switch from a centralized service to a peer-to-peer service, it's a lot to wrap your head around. But the basic idea is that if you can take the value that is sucked up in one company and literally spread it to everyone who's contributing to the network, then you're going to have a heck of a lot of people who want to see that network succeed. So you don't make content. Who here makes content? Okay, like 2 people make content. 3, I see you in the back. But here's what you do, even if you don't make content and you want to take part in the network. When you think about it, what does a company like YouTube do when you upload video? It encodes the video, it stores the video, it streams the video. That's basically it. Those functions aren't very hard. They're hard at scale, and they're certainly, when you get a billion people watching it, yes, there are certain dynamics. But for the most part, you have computers sitting at home that are doing nothing, really. So what if you could hold part of a video in the same way that you run a node and you hold part of a blockchain, and you process transactions for a blockchain? What if you could just hold part of a video and stream that? The way that we envision the infrastructure is that as you stream video to one another, the network streams micropayments back to you. You're literally having streaming money incoming for streaming video outgoing. That's a lot of transactions. And if anyone's been following the Ethereum blockchain and its scaling problems, you get the CryptoKitty problem. Yay, we found something that's popular, and then people start using it, and it just all crashes. It's kind of poetic that the Ethereum network is brought down by kittens when really cat videos is what made the internet in the first place. So that's why we're investing in what are called payment channels. And without getting too geeky, the idea of payment channel is that it's kind of like going into a bar. Speaking of going to a bar, I'm excited about it. If you guys have any questions that we don't get to, we'll meet out at the bar. But if you open a bar tab, right, you swipe your card, and then you have as many drinks as you want, right? And then you swipe the card or close out the account at the end, and then those 2 transactions are what the interaction is, right? And that's kind of how payment channels works. You, let's say, deposit $5 into your Popchest wallet. You watch as many videos as you want. Theoretically, thousands upon thousands of videos. Literally 2,000 transactions per second is what we're rating at right now. And you don't hit the blockchain until you close out. So in terms of scalability, we were talking about that. a little earlier today. This is a working scalability solution that we have right now. The other part is WebTorrent. So BitTorrent is the underlying network. We don't store videos on the blockchain. That would be crazy. Crazy talk, videos on the blockchain. But we do use a decentralization technology, one that's very well tested called BitTorrent. And WebTorrent is the implementation of BitTorrent that works inside your browser. So when I showed you that television screen, that's just working on a regular Chrome browser that's inside the Fire TV. So those two are both open source projects. We're big supporters of both of the projects. If you've heard of SpankChain, we're supporting the same payment channels wallet as them called the Vinos wallet. And if you've heard of the Brave browser, WebTorrent is something that we're co-sponsoring with them. So this idea of micropayments. Using it for video in this particular way is one application. But the potential implications are much, much bigger. When you think of, actually, has anyone heard of this, what Salon is doing, salon.com? It's not a fly-by-night media operation by any means, but they've started to put, I believe it's Monero miners, right? They're doing like a Monero miner in JavaScript inside of their web pages, so because they know all of you have ad blockers and you're not watching the ads and they're not making any money and they're going out of business, they're saying, okay, if you want to read our stuff, we're going to run a little miner in the background and get a fraction of a penny from you. And that's kind of like a weaselly way of going about doing it, but they're trying to solve a problem, and you can't knock them for that. The point being is that your impression, your time to watch something has a value. It has a number to it. It could be 0.0001 cents, and if they think that they can get that 0.0001 cents out of you one way or the other by either showing you an ad or doing cryptocurrency mining behind your back, they're going to do that. So what we're saying is, okay, what if you just give that up? What if you actually just volunteer? Say, hey, you know what? I would much rather than be inundated with ads, rather than have all of this spyware put on my machine, I just want to have a wallet, simple Ethereum wallet that lives in my browser, and every time I go someplace, I'm going to send a fraction of a penny, a POP token, to the content creator. You won't hassle me. We actually get to grow the environment in a holistic way, and everyone works out in a much, much better way. Just as one quick tech side note, without getting too morbid, in my previous life as a television network editor, we'd put an hour-long show on the air. The reality is that hour is only about 40 minutes, right, of actual content. So for every hour that you watch, you're basically watching 20 minutes of commercials to pay for thing. And the average American spends between 2 to 3 years of their life. 2 to 3 years of your life will be dedicated to watching television commercials, which is crazy. Now, the mechanics of that hour is that you're basically, to the advertiser, worth, depending on what channel it is, let's say 15 cents. 15 cents an hour. How many people would say, yeah, I would much rather give you 15 cents, don't ever show me a commercial again, and in exchange, I will have my life back? It's not that big of a deal, but it's a very different way of thinking about things. This week, Sam Altman from Y Combinator, if you haven't heard of Y Combinator, they're the biggest tech accelerator and early stage investor probably in Silicon Valley, went directly to this problem. Whoever gets this to work is going to have not only a great business, because yes, I'm a hardcore capitalist, I want to make piles of money, and everyone who helps me have them make piles of money as well, but they will have done an incredible service to the world. The amount of human capital that we can unlock simply by not accepting the status quo is a big deal. So we think this is the wave of the future. We think this is an entirely different way of consuming media. Everything is changing in the media world. Cable companies are losing $1 million subscribers per quarter. People are growing up without televisions as the central device in their homes. this is your screen. So the chaos, to me, I look at that as opportunity. So the opportunity for us to create something special is just right in front of us, and we intend to capitalize on it. So, like I said, we're based in Los Angeles. I've got a great team. We've all worked inside the machine one way or the other. It's a company town. I used to work Viacom, NBC primarily, Sony, Disney, pretty much all of the big players. We've done our time. And because of having that front row seat and how this thing works, we think we can bring a very, very unique perspective to it. Launch of the network in June, token sale in May. And this, it's really a good opportunity. Particularly, I want to thank the folks here at the Bitcoin and Ethereum and Blockchain Super Conference for this opportunity, because really this is the start of something very, very special. We haven't actually announced that we're doing our token sale on a specific date, but this is the first time that we're saying it's going to be in May with the network launch in June. So at the very least, if you go to popchest.com/token or join us in our Telegram group, you'll be able to see our amazing journey that's going to happen over the next 90, 120 days. It will be something. So I've got a few minutes left. If there's anyone who's got any questions, if you want to geek out on payment channels, if you have any questions about nodes, content creation, media in general, feel free to either come on up or have a seat. One other thing I guess I'd like to add, and I'll definitely get to your question, in terms of the nodes, and I'll just take a second to go back, because I get the sense that a lot of folks either are token buyers or Bitcoin miners, or maybe the nodes might be a little bit more interesting. But even if you don't care anything about content, you can just run a node on your machine and basically use that spare space and spare bandwidth to serve as the backbone of the network, to serve as a POP node and get POP tokens for using your spare cycles. So keep that in mind. Yes.
So just for clarification, so everyone who's connected and is watching videos is simultaneously torrenting, and the torrent is giving them the pieces they need to be able to compile the video so they can watch it as a cohesive whole. At the same time, they themselves are torrenting whatever other things they might have on their computer or something. What are you torrenting back? Normally, when you torrent, you've downloaded it yourself, and then of course you're expected to then give back. So are you torrenting the same video that you're watching? What are you torrenting back that's giving you the micropayment?
That's the awesome part. Both. So yes, the idea is that let's do the first one first. Actually, let's do the second one first because it's pretty easy. If you have stuff in your library and people want to watch that, that's more along the lines of just being a regular node. But this is one of the super cool things, is that if you start watching a video, you can start getting packets from me.
Right.
Then if you start watching that same video, they can get packets from both of us. And now, as everyone goes on, we're creating this peer-to-peer swarm, and that is really the fundamental core to start to disassociate ourselves from that centralized model where everyone has to go through the gate to get whatever piece of content that they want. And because of all of those transactions that are happening, that's where the peer-to-peer micropayment system, the payment channels, really comes into play and is showing itself to be full force.
Ingenious.
Excellent.
Really, really awesome idea. So is the micropayment going to be a set fee per packet, or is it going to depend on some sort of like reputation quality score that the video earns? How is it going to work? Is it going to be a flat rate for everyone, or is it like more popular videos would get a greater fee or something like that?
Yeah, that's definitely going to evolve as the platform evolves. We're starting at the most simplest way, which is to say there's going to be a small, medium, large. There's going to be a penny, 5 cents, 25 cents, something like that, and then evolve from there. But that's definitely something I could see us growing into, that effectively, the more popular things versus less popular things, that they should have a much more organic market pricing, if you will.
Excellent. Really cool.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Also a fan. It sounds very interesting and
Excellent.
disruptive in a good way. Is there any sort of digital rights management or as far as copyrights go for content, how do you manage that within the overall system? And is there any form of payment to the content creator aside from somebody who's just helping it to, propagate a torrent?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first part of that, absolutely, there's payment into to content creators, and that's just part of the smart contracting system that goes out. The first step is just a direct payment to a content creator. As we evolve on our roadmap, then we'll be able to have, let's say, you're a content creator, the payment goes to you, we do a smart contract, and then the payment goes to your producer, to your musician, to your editor, to your cinematographer, and then it starts to kind of fan out from there, that sort of next level. In terms of copyright protection, we're going to try a governance model and see how it works. The way that everyone deals with the problem now is to say, let's place the central authority in charge and have someone say you can and can't do this. Our idea is, okay, let's empower the nodes, right? Ultimately, to run a node, you're going to have to stake something. That means you are, in some way or another, critically tied to the success of the token. So if enough nodes get together and say, okay, this shouldn't be on the platform, they're doing it not out of a simple authoritative sort of way. They're doing it in a way to protect the network. And that's our big picture vision, which is to say we want to put ourselves out of business, not be in charge. But to do that, we have to have some human mechanism that's responsible for the network itself, for the long-term growth of the network. And we think that the nodes and a governance model that empowers the nodes can address that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, great job. We got it. We got it.
You've got a
finished up.
question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hand it to you, but I want to answer your question outside for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Meet each other. Nicely done. Very
Awesome.
good. Really interesting. Really good product there. Yeah. Let's give him a big hand, Valerian. Very, very good.